Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Everybody,
Hello.
good morning.
Morning from Utah.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Happy hump day.
Happy hump day. One of my kids last night was telling me, he's like, have a great morning show tomorrow. And I was like, we don't have a morning show. And he goes, it's Wednesday. And I was like, because yesterday was our live broadcast. So I was thinking, oh, we don't have, because, it's every other day that we're doing this live broadcast thing. So I was like, that's right. It's tomorrow.
Yeah. We had a pretty intense, few days leading up to the event, getting all the stuff together.
Yeah.
And yesterday's event went beautifully. Thanks again to Brent Carmichael for his contributions to,
so great.
It turned out to be a really important discussion. I mean, we knew it would be, and we brought together some data, and Brent had data of his own. So for those who missed it, you're probably going to want to find that and grab a ticket. You can see it as a replay. Should we share what our friend Anna Maria Beck said about it? She watched it and she said,
dealer
she
gold.
Called it dealer gold. She said, if I were to give two words, basically dealer gold. So, so thanks for that, Anna Maria. We felt good about, what was shared. And I think it's just kind of, to me, that's part of why we picked today's topic. It's kind of a follow through from yesterday. If you ask yourself, what was yesterday all about? I mean, we end up giving away a bunch of tickets and getting people there. And just it's about getting information in the hands of dealers. It's about trying to do some good for this industry. And, we're just out there trying to push to get information in front of dealers and to do what we can from our perspective, as sort of, it's not insignificant that you and I are kind of on an island in terms of, being agnostic and being, over here.
But it's funny though. We've really been very adamant. We're agnostic, and that has either drawn certain types of businesses that move about the same way, or we've been able to have conversations with some businesses and where it's like, hey, we want you to do this for us, and it's like, we won't. So can we continue the conversation without saying that? And it's usually people are just, well, not usually. Our experience recently is that, if they know and see and love what it is that we're doing, that when we have that conversation, they're like, okay, let's.
So we've, I think we're fine to go ahead and announce that we've got two folks that have agreed to step in and sponsor White Hat Way. So today was really talking about, let's talk about what
the
White
first
Hat
of
Way
two
looks like. Right.
Let's say the first of two, the only two that we've asked.
Right. Well, when you say the first of two, the first of what, we'll invite some more, but the first two that we asked said yes. And so we've got some folks who are joining to support White Hat Way for a period of 3 years. So that is a founding sponsorship that gives us some runway to go spread the message that is White Hat Way, to advance the mission that is White Hat Way. And so that's kind of what I wanted to have a chance to talk about today. Is let's just share with folks who are tuning in. It doesn't matter if you're a dealer, a consumer, a provider in the space, if you're some associate of the space of Buy Here, Pay Here, then White Hat Way has the opportunity to impact the industry in a positive way. And that's very much what Michelle and I are focused on.
That's what we're trying to do, is impact. The part of the why of White Hat Way is to impact the industry in a really positive way. And then, the other part was, what is White Hat Way, or what is a White Hat Way dealer? Those are different questions. But they're closely tied. But
and so when you say this is what we're trying to do, I think we see evidence. This is what we are doing, and how effectively we're able to do this in the coming months and years has a lot to do with how many of you folks join us in raising this flag, if you will, and sort of starting to get clear about the identity that is White Hat Way. So for today, we wanted to kind of talk about what does that look like for a dealer? Like, talk to me, if I'm just a dealer listening in and think, I don't understand yet what White Hat Way is. Like, what's that going to make a difference to me in my little town in Indiana or whatever? Like, how's that going to matter to me as a buy here, pay here dealer? So, we've got some material to be able to share with you that'll give you some idea. You want to show the video that came from that we prepared after the Facebook thing?
Is that one available? Yes, it is. Give me just a quick sec here because I need to.
We had somebody on one of our morning shows ask the question. What exactly is a White Hat Way dealer?
Okay. So we're gonna let me bring you all in, and there we go. It's like I'm two-handing. What exactly is a white hat dealer? A white hat dealer is someone who understands the importance of being known, liked, and trusted in their community.
In its simplest form, it's about helping a dealer tell the story in their community about this is who we are and what we stand for.
Your product is you and your financing, not a car. Your story and how you're known by your customer and community is not about your inventory.
White hat practices are going to be dealers who are playing a long game. They're interested in the success of the customer. They're interested in being an asset to the community. So, that gives folks an idea, about what we're referring to there. So let's give a quick history on the White Hat Way. We first started using that terminology back in 2021 as we were constructing some of the material for the BHPH Institute. We then started White Hat Wednesday, thanks to Tommy Brandis gave us that name, and he appeared on the very first White Hat Wednesday, June of 2022. We've been doing White Hat Wednesday ever since, and here's the latest one. So it's like this is something that we are committed to advancing. And so I think as you start to think about it, it's an opportunity for us to help folks who are tuned in to understand if let's go with the dealer first. Let's help them understand if I'm a white hat dealer, if I'm a dealer who decides I want to understand what White Hat Way is, I want to figure out how it can, make a difference in my business, then, really at the end, we're not asking you to change anything about who you are. We're just asking you to recognize that by joining us in this White Hat Way thing and sort of stepping forward and saying, I am a white hat dealer, I want to be known as a white hat dealer, then, we probably have to first back up and explain a little bit more about why the white hat, like, what is that about? And we've got, we just recorded last week with our friend Tim Lawrence at LHPH Capital. We recorded a video that we've not had the opportunity to produce yet, but
we want to show a clip though.
Yeah, we'll show a little clip of the recording with Tim. And Tim is LHPH Capital is one of our founding sponsors for White Hat Way. We're so looking forward to working with them and kind of developing this. And they, by the way, Terry Bowdler at LHPH Capital has a long history of championing ethics in the leasing arena, and so they were quick to get on board with what we're setting out to do and advancing White Hat Way. But you want to play that little clip from Tim? So what does a white hat cowboy represent to you, Tim?
A white hat cowboy, in my mind, is fiercely loyal. There's an element of strength and confidence that comes along with almost like a mentorship role of, we can be better, and I'm going to show you how we can do that.
Yeah.
It's this ideal perspective of.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he goes on to talk a little bit about that, but I just asked him, like, what is your understanding? Like, we chose a white hat cowboy for reasons we've talked about quite a bit, but we chose a white hat cowboy because what we feel like, certainly what I grew up with and what I feel like it represents. And so we were just trying to get a feel for what do you think? Is a white hat cowboy something you would want to associate with?
I turned as Tim because it goes on a little bit more, and you'll all see it because we'll be releasing some things over the next few weeks. And I turned to look at Jim, and Jim's funny. In just it just warms my heart kind of way, that the face of excited, the face of engaged, the face of just like, happy to see you kind of thing is the same face. The moment you touch emotion, that you can see it. And I turned and I looked at Jim, and he's like this. This is the emotion face, because he knows where we're going with this. And it just, the sheer emotion off of his face as we listened to Tim, and it's like, oh, this is what I love. I love it when people get it.
Right.
They get it. And LHPH Capital is one of those that they get it. They get what it is that we're trying to do. We also know
honey, it's not what we're trying to do. We're doing
what we're doing. Yeah, I know. Like, stop talking in future tense.
Yeah.
We love too when dealers specifically say, thank you. We see what you're doing in the industry, and understand for, dealers that see what we're doing, our core value and principle and what we are driving is the White Hat Way. And all of the things that we do are founded on that.
Yep. And it's, if you really think about it, why? Well, we're interested in your success as a dealer.
Absolutely.
We're very interested in your success. And we think one of the ways that we can help you be more successful is help you tell your story as someone who operates from a place of integrity and character in your marketplace. We find that folks aren't always good at telling that part of their story, of getting authentic and getting real and letting folks get to know them. And so this is part of what White Hat Way can do, is we can sort of go out front from a marketing and branding standpoint, and we can say, tell the community, what is White Hat Way? What is, and so here's a dealer, here's a business in your community who subscribes to White Hat practices, right? What is that?
Yeah.
Right.
What is, yeah.
So we tell that story, and so we go out and just share. This is the persona, that we're sort of trying to promote. And now it's easier for the dealer to just come forward and say, we associate with that. Like that's who we are over here.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a squirrel. Those of you who know me, it's a possum. So it's related, but it's kind of a different track. Another way that White Hat Way helps dealers is White Hat Way is part of, we're out there leading a charge for dealers. It's because we want dealers to have a better experience, not just about being known, liked, and trusted, which is huge, but we want dealers to have access to data.
Yeah.
We want dealers to just to have all of the things that they need to be the best at what they, like all of the metrics, all of the stuff that they absolutely can, so that they can focus on, because we understand that if you're feeling like you're underwater and you don't have a grip on the things and all of that, it's really hard to go and start leading from the heart.
Right.
Because you're like trying to swim and or whatever it is. It's like, I'm just trying to get a real good grip on the business side of this. And so White Hat Way is trying to create solid foundation rock for dealers to be able to move forward with the White Hat Way being known, liked, and trusted in their communities. And so, yesterday, if you don't mind, we were talking to Brent Carmichael, and there was a point in the conversation that we were talking about metrics, and that, metrics are really, really important for dealers to know, and it's how you run an effective business. If you've got solid, good, accurate metrics and know how to look at them. I mean, those are essential pieces to you running an effective business. Yes, it's important you have good collectors. Yes, it's important you have good salespeople. Yes, it's important that you have good inventory. But if you don't understand the metrics, then it's for naught in a way, because it's like, I'm just having fun and trying to swim, and I don't understand the stuff. So, the beautiful thing is that more and more metrics, more and more really measurable things. Jack Carter, we talked to him on Friday. Was it Friday? was it Monday? It was Monday.
Monday.
We talked to Jack Carter on Monday about, take things from the gut and how important it is that it's like what we think and our biases as dealers. Let's measure that. Let's make sure that we've got really good information. We're looking at the right stuff. We're moving forward. So metrics are really getting covered very nicely. And, and we're out there trying to help lead the charge to make sure that you have good metrics. That is part of foundational rock solid foundations for White Hat Way so that you can start focusing on your customer and your community.
Yeah. And we kid around a little bit yesterday with Brent, but it is kind of true that, we have these relationships with providers in the space. I feel like as a former dealer myself and somebody who works with a lot of dealers and kind of feels like I understand the gaps where they really need metrics, where they need their software to do more for them. It's like all these kind of things. Then I feel like what that lets you and me do is we can go to the industry wearing our figurative white hats on behalf of dealers.
Oh, don't be surprised if we show up somewhere with white hats.
But it's not, it's a figurative thing for me now. It's like we're trying to, so imagine that I'm having a conversation with a DMS provider representing White Hat Way on behalf of dealers to say, Mr. Software Provider, meet Mr. Dealer. We're trying to help this dealer get more information to help them better manage their business. Can you help us make that happen? Yes or no? And if they stand in the way of it, it kind of helps us understand, it lets us know where we stand. And I think for me, it's kind of, you can start to wrap up this whole idea of, white hat cowboy and being the, sheriff in town or the posse or whatever. It's not so much about that for me. We certainly want to have a strong posture on behalf of dealers, but we're totally going to do it with humility and character, and nobody's, we're trying to all pull on the same rope here. Right. And so how do you do that?
Exactly.
How do you get progress? How do you get movement on these things? And I'm just, for me, I'm sitting over here on the side saying, enough. We just see dealers struggle. This is a difficult business that we talked about with Brent yesterday. It's like, it's more difficult now than it was 3 years ago. It takes more cash. It's more risk. It's like we need the metrics, and there's other things that we need more than we've ever needed them. Let's get that figured out. And so this is a white hat element for us. This is part of how you can say, when you ask, what is white hat going to mean for me? Well, here's an area where we can go to work on your behalf. We'd like you to join us. One of the 8 areas that is coming to light is we asked, would dealers be willing to contribute their data? Would they be willing to share our data or share their data with us if we pledged the proper, privacy? And they're saying that they trust us with the data. So now what can we do with that? Well, on behalf of the industry, we showed yesterday, you help us with some data. We can turn some stuff around for you that is powerful and useful for you to make decisions in your business.
And what our, as far as the data part, what our objective, and this is one of the reasons why it was free. You just had to have a ticket. And it was free for you to come. We're not, to observe and to see all of the stuff that we talked about yesterday, because there's a lot of pieces out there that if they were freely accessible and freely shown to all dealers, that those new dealers, the young dealers in the business, it would mitigate some of their very expensive and sometimes devastating decisions. And that one of the things that we're, this whole, the K through 12 kind of education for a dealer, it's like, just life skills in buy here, pay here, not your high level, like now, how do we tweak and how do we, really just enrich? We're talking life skills for a buy here, pay here dealer should be available to all buy here, pay here dealers from the moment they step in.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do.
And the same thing really with consumers. I mean, I on Monday, I failed to give a shout out to Jack Carter while he was with us. Like, some of the stuff he's doing on social media is outstanding, starting to educate consumers. And it's like, what that says is, look, we want you to be successful. We're happy for you to save some interest and pay us early, so there's all things that he's doing over there. But the idea here, if you start to think about as a dealer, how can this matter to me? Like, what can White Hat Way look like in my industry, maybe in my business, in my community? Imagine the day that a consumer is able to go through White Hat education and able to go out and start to, right?
I thought we talked about not announcing really much. I mean, we have talked about this before, but this consumer education is one of the things that our sponsors are stepping in to help with as well. Not just dealer education, but consumer education, because when everybody at the table has some level of life skills education about how this contract is going to play out, it is good for everyone at the table. Everyone at the table.
So I think what the part that I really was trying to connect the dots for dealers is, if you can foresee the day that consumers are able to go and enroll in White Hat education, and they get a White Hat diploma, and now they're able to present that to the dealer. The dealer can, if a White Hat dealer, they can decide what they do with that. But there can be ways that the customer can benefit in that. The dealer can obviously benefit because they've got an educated consumer they're working with.
And it shows to a dealer. I mean, with you dealers out there listening, if you think about, if someone were sitting in front of one of your salespeople or underwriting, and they had that along with everything else, you'd be like, yep. I mean, because they're putting in a little bit of the skin. And so we just want you to understand that what it is that we're developing is something that dealers can put on their websites, that will be out there and educating consumers in geofenced areas where there are White Hat Way dealers. There's a lot of opportunity for us to, it's like, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. How can we help? How can we make this a better experience for everyone at the table?
Yeah. And I think, folks who get to know us recognize that we're very much committed to this idea, and people will understand. I mean, we're totally transparent over here. That's part of what White Hat Way is about. Are there revenue streams associated with all? Yes, there are revenue streams. There's opportunity to make.
Well, we can't do it all for free. We do, and it takes time and resources. Of course, we're going to ask for a little bit.
It's a mission. It's really a heart mission, and part of what helps me get, or makes me get emotional, is like when I start getting down to these core truths. Like you're getting closer to where I've always kind of known I belonged in this industry.
Since the moment I met him,
So there's when you get down to these core principles and core truths, there's a thread of emotion there, and it's positive. It's a good feeling, and
love you, sweetheart.
We're pleased to be in a position to advance that mission. I mean, part of the other place that the emotion comes from for me is we all see consumers in this segment being mistreated. We all see it, and we can do better.
We can help.
Yeah.
Help everybody. Everybody's experience. We can help.
Yeah. So I think, the way we choose to channel that energy is that how do we create a platform that makes it better for dealers? How do we help dealers get to the information that they need? How do we help them better engage and communicate with their consumers? How can we survey customers that we're missing on the marketing side? How can we survey customers that we lost to repo charge off? That's better coming from somebody like White Hat Way than it is from the dealer. The consumers are more likely to respond, tell us what's happening. So one of the ways that we can get better in this industry is let's better understand this consumer. We all think we know what they're about, and we think we know what makes them tick. And the world's changing for one thing, and we can go out there and survey folks, in a way that will be more impactful. So there's a lot on the horizon for Michelle and me, and so this is why we recognize that it's going to be helpful to have people step in. And so it's very gratifying to have people stepping in and saying, yes, we'll support that mission.
And so, we ask, because, dealers out there, other vendors out there, if you want to be able to help, let us know. And that, there's lots of different ways that can happen, but understand, vendors understand is that stepping in to help, we will not, how do you phrase this? We're open to anyone who wants to help with this, as long as we can proceed as agnostic, because that's how we help the dealers.
Yeah.
So, if you want to help, that's great, but we will be agnostic. And we had a long time ago, we sat with a dealer and we talked about being agnostic, and they're like, I don't know how you can do it. And this is how we do it.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
Yeah. Well, I think just when you're super clear, and we try to make sure people know, we work on behalf of dealers. And so that's our objective. And so nobody never needs to question, where we're coming from on this. We're trying to improve the dealer experience. And we know that through that we can improve the consumer experience, but we're focused on helping dealers, get in a position where, again, they can better connect and communicate with their consumer. And part of how you do that, in our belief, is just let them know who you are.
Yeah.
Let them know what you stand for. And now you can have a better relationship. When that whole relationship is kind of based on that, then your ability to make progress in whatever you're working on is when you know that you're aligned with your consumer, that that they care about the same things you care about, then your ability to work through all kinds of stuff, is just much better. So this is part of how White Hat Way can make a difference. I think it's easy for us to understand if we're out there working on behalf of dealers and dealers are playing a long game and they're interested in their success and profitability. It's easy to see how the providers that are working with those same dealers, you can see how they benefit.
Oh my gosh. This elevates everybody.
Yeah.
It really, really does. It's exciting.
And we won't do it alone. I think for today, I'm happy to share the emotion. Like, I think folks need to understand, because I won't have much luck hiding it. So I'm happy to share it, just because I think it's important for people to know that we're committed to this. Like, this is a heart matter.
Yep.
And
and just so you know too, that we did announce yesterday that and we're going to do this probably first quarter of likely first quarter of 2024 will be our next all day live event. And what we're going to be doing on that is it's going to be about actionable strategies for connecting with your customer. And so we're going to be bringing a lot of experts in, and we're going to talk about, and so this is going to be more of a white hat all day event. This is going to be, on the emotional side, on the connection side.
Sure.
So that's what we're going to be doing in the first quarter. So be kind of watching for that. We won't have any marketing going out for a while, and Jim's like, why can't we do it in December? So we'll see. It's because his wife said, okay,
yeah,
all right, can we? Yeah.
There's some arm wrestling ahead. So yeah.
And good-natured arm wrestling.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's one of the next one that we're going to do is going to be on that.
Sure.
And so we invite you all to participate and be a part of that conversation, because I think that's going to be and let me just say that one of the things when we were talking to Brent Carmichael and we dialed down to if we're helping, not leading, but we're like in the trenches trying to make sure that dealers have the best information that they have, the best metrics that they can get, so that they can effectively run their business. They're running the right reports. They're doing all the right things. And, that's going to help the business overall. And when we were talking with Brent, that there's a shift that's happened. COVID kind of Jim calls it BC, before COVID, and AC, after COVID. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's just kind of funny. And so COVID changed our business models. And many of you have done just a stellar job of shucking and jiving and finding a way to change. Those of you who didn't and weren't able to keep ahead of the curve, it's been a struggle. It's been hard. And we've seen some doors close and all sorts of stuff. But so, we're like cheerleader pom-poms, dealers that have just been shifting and trying to find a way to make it work. But one of the other things besides our business models that changed during COVID was the customer. And how we are not engaging with customers. Yeah. Just before that is when everything was like lead the charge, ACH, because we didn't have a choice because they couldn't come into the dealership. And so it started a little bit before that, but a real strong ACH. And that what Brent was saying is that pre-COVID, good numbers for repos were around the 38%, something like
Doesn't
that.
Matter.
And it's gone up. And so it's like, how can we, and so I asked him, I said, if we can help with all the metrics, and then we start to teach dealers how to reconnect with their customers and their community, do you think that will help? And he says, absolutely.
That's why one of the questions on the survey we sent out was, what is your level of engagement? Like, how would you assess your own level of engagement with customers? Besides routine collection interaction, are you engaged with them? And so we got feedback on that. We'll share that in the coming weeks here on
we have.
what the results have been like coming back on some of that. So that's part of why we're driving that. But I would just say, we're going to continue to be out there in the trenches. We're going to continue to do, some coaching, obviously. But I think what you're going to see is that we're working on behalf of our clients and anybody else out there who needs some help trying to get these things to the fore. It's like we're part of what we can do with the morning show is get these topics out there. Let's talk about them. Let's make sure that we, are working on the things that are needed most. And until somebody, makes that request of me, I'm working on the things that I see that dealers need. And, that starts with just reports. Like they just need better information.
Metrics.
And so we're going to also be moving on ways for them to supply data to us so that we can hold it, store it securely, and be able to turn around for
share it,
comparative information. So dealers are willing to share that with us. We've seen it. We've had dealers contribute to this event from yesterday, and we've had a lot of dealers pledge that they'd be happy to share their data in the interest. Because one of the things we talked about in the event yesterday is dealers are willing to help other dealers for the most part. White hat dealers are certainly prepared to help other dealers. So we see a lot of that.
Well, can I just, one of the things that Brent was surprised about, most everything he was like, okay, yeah, I see that. But one thing that he was surprised about that the data showed was length of loan. And he was surprised at the results.
Yeah.
At what length of loan did to success of deal.
Yeah. And then we shared some new stuff. I've been creating some new stuff and I've got other ideas about ways that, by the way, just a quick thing. I didn't really share this with Michelle. She loves it when I bring stuff on her new, but
it's a squirrel. It's its own squirrel.
I guess I did kind of show you a quick map of it, but basically one of the things I feel like I can do, because we've got enough case studies, that we can start to address this thing about the perceived risk in this business. I work with some dealers and private investors who are looking to invest in their business. And so one of the things we do is go through that analytics. We take their history, we take case studies from other dealers, we extrapolate that and say, this is what the cash flow should look like, over the next 24 months. And so now we can also show the value of the contracts, value of the cars, and show the investor, here's where your participation is relative to the value of these things. And so we can begin to help dealers or investors in particular better perceive and gauge the risk that buy here, pay here is and is not. Like what I've seen is I always call it perceived risk. There's a perception that it's super high risk, but in reality, the portfolios perform in a certain sigma or whatever certain
and
range.
It's just about, it's where people go sideways is the deal structure of the money that's coming in to fund and the money and the deal with the customer. That's where it's, and so if you've got a specific deal structure with your customer, and then there is a perceived, that it's a lot easier to map.
So it's an area that we can function as White Hat Way on behalf of dealers to go in there and help tell the story. We're just sitting on the sidelines over here as somebody who understands the industry, and we can help make the connection. The industry is hurting for capital, right? It looks like there's no real end in sight. We're going to need a lot of capital in the coming years. And so we got to help folks understand what the risk is and is not. So,
yep. A lot to digest.
Yep.
And if you're looking for how White Hat Way can help you, listen to the whole podcast, because there's probably a dozen or so things that we talked about. Hey, everybody.
And listen, maybe just don't watch on Wednesdays. If you don't like to see a grown man shed tears, then maybe we can come up with a screen filter or something. We can
I
put
love
a
you,
little
honey.
Pixelation on there. So.
Have a great Wednesday, everybody. Jim, keep showing the emotion. That's what makes it so real. We'll talk to you guys on Friday. Thanks so much for joining today. We'll talk to you on Friday again.